Please let me know once you're able to see my screen.
Yeah.
Are you able to see my screen?
Yeah, yes, yes.
Great. Maybe after restart it is working for you. Cool. So yeah, so as part of today's agenda, okay, still okay, we are discussing about the virtual machine topic. So till now we have seen like creating both Windows and Linux machines, and we have seen certain certain operations like increasing the disk size, adding additional HDDs, and and how to set up the monitoring and alerts for the particular virtual machines, right? So now today, okay, let us discuss some more additional topics. Okay, let me go back to the portal here, and if I go back to the any one of the VM, and here I see whenever I click on connect, okay, we have seen okay, so how to take an RDP for the Windows machines and how to take a SSH connection for the Linux machines, and I also see one more option called Bastion. Let's see what is that Bastion today. Okay, so we'll discuss about Azure Bastion, and we'll also seeing okay one option called Capture. Okay, so I told you like we will be discussing in upcoming sessions, right? So we'll also see what is this, what is meant by this capture, and how we can take an image and how we can create the VMs okay using that particular image. Okay, so let's say I'll say like capturing image. Okay, so we'll try to discuss these two topics on a high level, and then we'll come back and we'll, if time permits, okay, we'll look for the another topics. Okay, let's start with Azure Bastion. Okay, what is meant by Azure Bastion? Okay, so before that, let me go through the documentation part here. I would say Azure Bastion. Okay, just say docs. Okay, you've been navigated to the documentation page, and okay, if you don't know something like try to do Google it. Okay, so the I want you to get familiar with how to look for the documentation. So the good thing I like with the Microsoft documentation is like everything you will be having here itself. You don't need to have a certain separate somebody come and help you. Okay, just Google it. Okay, with respect to thing whatever you wanted. Okay, so here if you see, okay, I see like most of the things, and let me see whatever I have. Let me go to the overview page, and let's see what is meant by Bastion for now. Okay, if you see here, Azure Bastion is a service. You deploy that. Let's connect a virtual machine using your browser and the portal. Okay, so it is kind of platform as a service. Okay, in the beginning we discussed okay some of the services like IaaS and PaaS, right? It is one of the platform as a service. Okay, so provision within your virtual network. Okay, so it provides secure seamless RDP SSH connectivity to your virtual machines directly from the Azure portal over the TLS. Okay, so what happens is okay, if you look into this architecture here, so whenever I try to access this particular VM, okay, I can open this particular RDP within a browser itself using a private IP. Okay, I'm repeating again. So whenever I try to RDP for the particular VMs, okay, so to take an RDP, what I'm doing for the Windows machine, I'm using an RDP. For the Linux machines, I'm using certain certain tools like a Putty and Git Bash or PowerShell. I'm using to connect, right? So once you enable this particular Bastion, we don't need to perform all those stuff. Okay, we can directly take an RDP or SSH okay within a browser itself. Okay, so this is how this particular Bastion will help you. And okay, so this Bastion service is not available for all the regions. Okay, so this Bastion service is specific to few regions because this service was introduced I think in the year 2019 or somewhere. Okay, and if you see how to do it, okay, so if you go to the tutorial page, okay, so you can see how to create it and how to host it. Okay, so as a step-by-step procedures, okay, how to create it, okay, you can go through this particular documentation. For now, let us go ahead and create it for now. So I'll go back to the portal and let me start the VM first. And since I do not know the VM username and password, before I go ahead and do the creating the bastion, okay, let me go ahead and change the password first. Okay, I'm just starting my VM. And if at all if you wanted to enable a bastion, okay, you can just come down, and under this particular operations, okay, you would see a option called bastion. And this remaining of features like in taking a backup, DR, okay, we'll be discussing in upcoming sessions. Okay, not may not know. So let's see what are the operations we can perform for the related to the VM. So let me click on Bastion. Okay, so even from the Microsoft document page itself, okay, you can directly navigate to the specific, document. Okay, if you see, if I say learn more, okay, just click on this particular URL, you will be navigated to the specific documentation page where I went in the before. Okay, the good thing I like with the Microsoft is like, so this is how, okay, if you don't know something, okay, you can easily navigate to the documentation page. And here is like, if at all, if you wanted to enable a Bastion, okay, on a virtual network level, so we should have a separate subnet called Bastion subnet. Okay, so the subnet name should be like a Azure Bastion subnet, which is very, very important. Okay, I'm repeating again. So in, let's say, uh, let me open a Azure VM, right? Azure Virtual Machine. Okay, so let me go to this particular documentation here. I think, okay, this architecture diagram I have shown you in the beginning, right? So let's say, okay, I'll copy this image. So when we creating a VM, what we are doing, okay, within a network, so we are creating a separate subnet, and within a subnet, okay, we are creating a VM and other stuff, right? Now, if at all, if you wanted to enable this particular Bastion feature, this specific Bastion feature, we need to have another subnet, separate subnet called Azure Bastion subnet. That means in the same network, we are going to create another subnet. Okay, so within the subnet, okay, we are hosting this particular specific, uh, Bastion service. Okay, if I come back here, if I go to this overview page, okay, if you come to this architecture diagram, okay, can you see now? This is one of the subnet, and here I'm creating a one more subnet called Azure Bastion subnet. Okay, this is my entire virtual network. Okay, so this is very, very important. It's one of the prerequisite. Okay, even within your interviews also, if at all, if you're planning for, attending an interviews, okay, whenever they ask for a Bastion, so Bastion is one of the, a PaaS service. Okay, so within a virtual network, so within this particular virtual network, so by enabling this particular Bastion feature, we can connect to this particular virtual machines directly within a browser. Okay, by using the TLS protocols and by using a private IP. Okay, so let's say how we can, here what I'm doing now, while enabling this particular Bastion feature, first it is asking me to create a subnet. Within a VNet, it is asking me to create a subnet. Okay, let me go back here, and if you see here, so my virtual network has a address space. That means, okay, so here, okay, I have taken for my VNet, okay, /16. So that is the reason I have a space to create the another subnet. Sometimes what happens is, okay, so your VNet and subnet might be having the same IP address, and they will be not having a IPs to create a new subnet. So in those scenarios, okay, you have to go to the VNet and you have to increase the uh, IP range. Okay, let me show you that how to do it. Okay, because I see most of the folks might be facing that issue. Okay, I'll go to this particular VNet and subnet. Okay, let's go to the VNet and subnet first. If you see here, this is my VNet IP. Okay, that means like, I have like, /16 I have. Okay, so if I go back to this particular, uh, subnet space for now. Okay, okay, subnet space I have like /24. Let's say, okay, even my VNet IP space, okay, if I made it as a /24, let's say I'll keep it as a /24, and I'll make changes. Okay, so my VNet and subnet has a /24. That means there are no available IPs here, present. Okay, because my VNet is having /24, and at the same time, even my subnet is also having /24. That means all the IPs are occupied by single subnet. Okay, in those scenarios, if I go back to the my VM, okay, let me go back to the VM, and if I go ahead and try to, enable the Bastion, let's say I'll go to the Bastion feature. Okay, and I'll say VSTS and let me click on create. Let's say this time validation should be working. But has a slash 24, that means there are no available IPs present. Okay, because my VNet is having slash 24, that means all the IPs are occupied. Okay, 16. So that is the reason I have a space to create the another subnet. Sometimes what happens is, okay, so your VNet and subnet might be having the same IP address, and they will be not having a IPs to create a new subnet. So in those scenarios, okay, you have to go to the VNet and you have to increase the uh, IP range. Okay, let me show you that how to do it. Okay, because I see most of the folks might be facing that issue. Okay, I'll go to this particular VNet and subnet. Okay, let's go to the VNet and subnet first. If you see here, this is my VNet IP. Okay, that means like I have like slash 16 I have. Okay, so if I go back to this particular subnet space for now. Okay, okay, subnet space I have like slash 24. Let's say okay, even my VNet IP space. Okay, if I'm okay, so your VNet and subnet might be having the same IP address, and they will be not having a IPs to create a new subnet. So in those scenarios, okay, you have to go to the VNet and you have to increase the uh, IP range. Okay, let me show you that how to do it. Okay, because I see most of the folks might be facing that issue. Okay, I'll go to this particular VNet and subnet. Okay, let's go to the VNet and subnet first. If you see here, this is my VNet IP. Okay, that means like I have like slash 16 I have. Okay, so if I go back to this particular uh, subnet space for now. Okay, okay, subnet space I have like slash 24. Let's say okay, even my VNet IP space. Okay, if I made it as a slash 24, let's say I'll keep it as a slash 24, and I'll make changes. Okay, so my VNet and subnet has a slash 24, that means there are no available IPs present. Okay, because my VNet is having slash 24, and at the same time even my subnet is also having slash 24, that means all the IPs are occupied by single subnet. Okay, in those scenarios, if I go back to the my VM. Okay, let me go back to the VM, and if I go ahead and try to enable the bash, but has a slash 24, that means there are no available IPs present. Let's say okay, even my VNet IP space. Okay, if 16, so that is the reason I have a space to create the another subnet. Sometimes what happens is, okay, so your VNet and subnet might be having the same IP address, and they will be not having a IPs to create a new subnet. So in those scenarios, okay, you have to go to the VNet and you have to increase the uh, IP range. Okay, let me show you that how to do it. Okay, because I see most of the folks might be facing that issue. Okay, I'll go to this particular VNet and subnet. Okay, let's go to the VNet and subnet first. If you see here, this is my VNet IP. Okay, that means like I have like slash 16 I have. Okay, so if I go back to this particular subnet space for now. Okay, okay, subnet space I have like slash 24. Let's say okay, even my VNet IP space. Okay, if I made it as a slash 24, let's say I'll keep it as a slash 24, and I'll make changes. Okay, so my VNet and subnet has a slash 24, that means there are no available IPs present. Okay, because my VNet is having slash 24, 16 I have. Okay, so if I go back to this particular uh, subnet space for now. Okay, okay, subnet space I have like slash 24. Let's say okay, even my VNet IP space. Okay, if I made it as a slash 24, let's say I'll keep it as a slash 24, and I'll make changes. Okay, so my VNet and subnet has a slash 24, that means there are no available IPs present. Okay, because my VNet is having slash 24, and at the same time even my subnet is also having slash 24, that means all the IPs are occupied by single subnet. Okay, in those scenarios, if I go back to the my VM. Okay, let me go back to the VM, and if I go ahead and try to enable the bastion. Let's say I'll go to the bastion feature, and if I try to enable a bastion, okay, here it will throw me some error. So earlier, okay, the first step itself, okay, it is pausing, and it is asking us to create a bastion subnet, right? So this time it is giving me the error saying that expand your virtual network address space, because my VNet and subnet has a complete /24 header range, and whatever the VNet IPs I have completely given it to the subnet, and I do not have a extra IPs available to create another subnet to enable this particular bastion. Okay, so here you could see expand your virtual network address space. The address space for the virtual network is composed one or more overlapping address ranges that are specified in a CIDR notation. So always keep remember when let's say I'll copy this IP, I'll put it here to make you understand more. Let's say this is my VNet. Okay, my VNet has this particular IP range, and what I have a subnet called default subnet. Let's say I'll name it as a default. Okay, subnet, and my even default subnet is also having a same IP. Okay, and if you see here, so by taking a /24, if you remember in the beginning, okay, how many IPs I'm getting? 256 IPs I'm getting. So this entire 256 IPs I have given it to one single subnet. Okay, by giving the same /24. Okay, so there you will be able to see. Okay, so among 256, 251 are available IPs, because okay, remaining 5 IPs will be occupied by Azure, okay, for the network setup. And within this, okay, one IP will be attached to the VM, right? Okay, so while creating the VM, okay, that VM was created within a subnet, so that is the reason. And one IP is allocated to the NAC, and available IPs are only 250. Okay, the same thing. Okay, you can see it here in the portal. So let me try to duplicate this window, and I'll go back to the virtual network now again once again, and let me go to the overview page. And if I go to this particular virtual network and subnets here, and here if I go to the subnets now, okay, can you see the available IP is only 250? Because so yeah, so when you take a /24, you will be getting a 256 IPs, among which okay, 5 IPs will be reserved by Azure Microsoft, and available IPs are 251. Among 251, okay, one IP was aligned to NIC, because this NIC and all will be created within a subnet, right? If you see here, when you create a NIC, one private IP will be allocated. So this IP will be allocated from a subnet IP only, and available IPs are only 250. Okay, yeah, this is the one. Okay, available IPs are 250 now. So if at all if I wanted to create another subnet now, so let's say for enabling this particular Azure Bastion, I should be creating a separate subnet called Azure Bastion subnet. Make sure the naming should be the same. If I try to give the different name for enabling this Azure Bastion service, it will not work. Okay, it's a by default Microsoft recommendation. The subnet name should be Azure Bastion subnet by default. And if at all if I wanted to create another subnet, I do not have any additional IPs, okay, on my VNet level. Okay, so this VNet, okay, will dividing into multiple subnet. Okay, just for your information, that we'll see in detail, okay, in upcoming sessions. But yes, for now, so I do not have a additional IPs, okay, to create a Bastion service. So I see some message here. Hi, I'm unable to join the call. Just a second, guys. Yeah, it is allowed. Maybe you can, Ravi, just try log out and log in again. Yeah, fine. If you see here, okay, so if at all if I wanted to create another subnet, okay, I need to increase this particular VNet IP ranges. That means okay, either I can do /24, at least /23 below that, so that by taking /23, okay, let's say how many IPs I will get. Let me quickly calculate. Can somebody calculate in the meantime and tell me by taking /23 how many IPs I will get? 9. That means 2 to the power of 9. Sorry, I kept it 0. 512 IPs. Okay. So here I'm getting 512. Among 512, okay, 5 will be reserved by Azure. So I will be getting 507 IPs. That means, so just by increasing the VNet range, okay, from /24 to /23, okay, I will be getting 507 IPs. So among these 507, 256 are given to default subnet. So remaining available IPs, let's say how many we have. So let's say I'll calculate this way. Okay, I'll keep it as a 512, and among 512, if I remove the 256, okay, another available IPs are 256. That means another 256 IPs I have here, okay, to create a new subnet now this time. Okay, that I can allocate to the Bastion subnet. And one more important thing is, okay, if at all if you wanted to create a Bastion subnet, the minimum CIDR range, okay, which is required as a /27. Okay, so this is also very very important. So let's come back here and let's work on this particular thing. So what I will doing is, okay, for this particular virtual network, okay, I'm increasing the VNet ranges from 256 to, I'll keep it as a 3 here. So by taking a 3 here, you could see that we are getting 512 IPs. Okay, let me click on save. And for the people who are joined newly, maybe just go through my previous videos, so you will be able to see how we are calculating this particular IP ranges. And if you see here, I have increased the IP ranges from 256 to 512, and now I have additional IPs to create another subnet. So let me go back here, and I have to do refresh here to reflect those changes. And now if I navigate to this particular under operations, yeah, I'm under the same Bastion, and now it is allowing me to create the another subnet, okay, with a minimum CIDR range as /27. And the default subnet name as a Azure Bastion subnet, it is not allowing us to edit the name also. If you see here, okay, by default here it is creating a new subnet for the virtual network. Okay, let's go with the default. Don't give any security group at this moment. Okay, let's leave it as a none, and let me click on create a subnet. And once you click on a subnet, okay, here we have a 3 steps. First step is, okay, we need to have a IP range, and the second step we are creating a Azure Bastion, and the third step, okay, we are enabling the Bastion. For enabling this particular Bastion, we have to have a one more public IP also. Okay, so these are all the options. I'm going with the default, and the name also it has taken as a default as a Bastion at the end. And even for the IP, okay, it has taken a default name. I'm going with the defaults at this moment, and I'll create a Azure Bastion. So what I'm performing now, okay, here I have involved into the 3 steps. First, I need to check, okay, whether I have available IPs to create a new subnet, and if at all if I do not have an IPs to create a new subnet, I have to increase the IP range, IP address range, and then after, okay, I will be creating a separate subnet called Azure Bastion subnet. Once I have created Azure Bastion subnet with a minimum CIDR range as a /27, I can go ahead and create a Bastion. While creating a Bastion, I need to have a these settings. Okay, I will be creating a new public IP also. Okay, so it is still validating. So once it is done, I think it might take 2 to 3 minutes. So in the meantime, what I will do is, okay, let me go ahead and change the password, because I do not know the username and password of this particular VM. Okay, so maybe, okay, I'll just quickly change it here, and I would say username is Azure user, and let me give some password here. Okay, in the meantime, let me quickly update this one. So once this particular Bastion is enabled, we'll try to see, okay, so I'll go back here on the top, and I'll try to take a Bastion. Let's see how it will be, we're able to connect to the VM. Okay, so both the operations are, under progress. You can see the under notifications also. Okay, so creating a new Bastion is under progress, and resetting a password is also under progress, and you can see here it is running. Okay. And one more thing, maybe this is for the, okay, Dixit, I guess. Okay, this account is for the Dixit. So Dixit, okay, whenever you're done with the practice, right? Okay, try to remove the servers. Okay, so though Otherwise, okay, your entire credentials will be like, collapsed. Okay, here at this moment, okay, I have like 11,000, right? So if at all these servers are not in use and you just done with the practice, okay, try to delete them immediately. Delete the entire resource group. Okay, just for your information, and even for others also. If you are using others account and if you are done with just a practice, immediately delete those account. Delete the entire resource group itself. And if you see here, I'm done with the resetting my VM password, and the creation of Bastion is still in progress. Let's wait for it. Okay, once it is done, okay, so I'm under the default VM, right? Okay, once it is done, okay, I'll see how to connect using this particular Bastion. So in the meantime, if you have any questions, okay, we can quickly discuss till the till the time this particular Bastion is enabled. If not, okay, I will give some insights about this particular capturing an image, and we'll come back and test this particular Bastion feature once again. Fine. So I think it might take another 2 to 3 minutes. In the meantime, let me give some insights about this particular capturing an image. Okay, for the people who are already working, okay, you might be much familiar with images, right? So within your organizations, if at all, if you wanted to create any servers, okay, so you will be having a separate product engineering team wherein they will be creating the images and they will be publishing an images. And if at all, if you wanted to create the servers, you have to use that image itself, and that image might be having certain pre-installed applications. Okay, so that was a use case, okay, that you can have. And one more thing I'll say, let's say I'll say one thing, like I need to create 100 VMs. Okay, let's say this is my requirement. Okay, one of the real time scenario example, I need 100 VMs, and within this 100 VMs I need to have certain pre application and certain applications to be installed. Let's say, okay, so I wanted Visual Studio. Okay, so Visual Studio is one of the a tool, okay, so which is mainly useful for the developers to develop their code. And in addition to that, okay, I need a Git. Okay, Git is also one of the source control. Don't worry about those tools, okay, if you don't know. I'm just highlighting it here. And in addition to that, okay, I wanted to have some web browser. Okay, let's say I wanted only Google. Okay, so Google web browser. These are all will not come by default, okay, when you deploy the VM, right? So by default, okay, so currently, okay, I have this particular VM. So whenever I log into the VM, I don't see these particular applications are installed. And let's say in addition to that, okay, I wanted to have certain putty also, okay, to connect to some other something. So let's say I'll keep it as a putty also. So for 100 VMs, okay, I wanted to install all these softwares. Okay, so creating 100 VMs and installing these softwares, okay, will make your life very horrible. Okay, to avoid those scenarios, what we can do is, okay, first we can create a one VM. Okay, create a single VM. Okay, and install whatever you wanted. Let's say, okay, so I wanted this particular software, right? Let's say, okay, Visual Studio, okay, Git, Google web browser, and Putty, and whatever the additional software that you wanted. Okay, you can install all of them, and you can take an image. Okay, we call it as a hardening also. So we can take an image, and this image, okay, we can store it in a shared image gallery. Okay, so we have within Azure, okay, we have a service called Shared Image Gallery, and we can store this particular image into the Shared Image Gallery. And going forward, if at all, if you wanted to create any servers, let's say I have a requirement to create 100 servers, right? So for creating these 100 servers, I can use the same this specific thing. So let's say I wanted to create 100 VMs right at this moment. So for every time, okay, I can just simply choose this image, and by default, okay, all these softwares will be coming by default. So that is the advantage of taking capturing an image. Okay, so we'll come back and look into this in detail now. In the meantime, okay, so I see it is still in progress. That is fine. In addition to that, okay, so first, okay, let me quickly discuss about some more topic, like custom deployment. and then okay, so we'll come back and we'll test this particular capturing image also. Okay, for perform this particular custom deployment is nothing but okay, at this moment, okay, let's say when I create a VM, okay, I wanted to have a Visual Studio by default installed in it. Okay, okay, so this particular Visual Studio by default, okay, has to be installed under the VM. Okay, if you have such a scenarios, okay, we can go with the custom deployment. Okay, first quickly show you this, and then after we'll come back to this particular capturing an image. Let me go to the portal and I'll leave it here. It might take some more time, and I'll go back to the create a resource, and within the create resource, okay, just type uh, okay, not the custom, say deployment. Yeah, sorry, template deployment it is. Okay, so you need to go to the template deployment. Okay, so if at all if you wanted to go with any custom thing, okay, so type okay, just a template deployment. Okay, so when you go with the template deployment, okay, if you just click on create, okay, so our bastion is created. We'll finish it and we'll go back there and we'll test it. So when you wanted to go with the custom deployment here, okay, so what you need to do is okay, so here we have certain quick start templates. Okay, so you need to choose them. Okay, so first put the cursor here and put back the cursor here and click on it again here, so that you will be able to certain templates here, okay, for creating your VM. So these are all the ARN templates, so we'll show you that okay later, but for now okay, my requirement is I wanted to have a Visual Studio. Just type visual and you will be able to see certain templates, okay, which has the Visual Studio. Let's say okay, so here, okay, so Visual Studio Dev VM. Okay, here you could see I'm going to create a VM, okay, which has a Visual Studio. In addition to that, okay, so let's say Visual Studio, VSTS, okay, build agent and a VMs. Okay, those things, okay. If you see here, Visual Studio Dev VM, okay, Office 365 is installed. Okay, likewise, okay, if you wanted to have any custom deployments, okay, you can go with it. So for now, let's see, okay, let's go ahead and try to create this particular VM. And when I click on this particular thing, okay, it will give me the what exactly it is going to do. So it is going to create a Visual Studio 2015 or a Dev 15 VM from the base image, okay, available in the computer stack. Okay, so let me click on select this particular template, and when I select this template, okay, it will ask me some bare minimal requirement. Let's say I'll give one resource group here. Otherwise let me create a new resource group. I would say here like custom deployment, or else I would say okay, since I'm going to install the Visual Studio, okay, I would say Visual Studio RG, sorry, hyphen RG and 01. Okay, let me click on OK, and I'm going with the same default central US, and let's say I'll give the username as Azure user, and let's say okay, I'll give some random password here, and this public IP name I need to prefix, I need to specify. I say Visual Studio, I'll say VSTS. Okay, and this location and searches, okay, I'll go with the default. Let me review and create. And sometimes if you fail done with a fail, this particular validation might be failing because it could be the reasons like if you go to the VMs. And yesterday I think somebody was asking, so for every region, okay, you will be having a limited quota. If I'll say VSTS, okay, and this location and searches, okay, I'll go with the default. Let me review and create. And sometimes if you fail done with a fail, this particular validation might be failing because it could be the reasons like if you go to the VMs, And yesterday I think somebody was asking, so for every region, okay, you will be having a limited quota. If you are if you are crossing that quota, can you see, I'm validation is failing now, because under central US here, in my subscription I have two VMs. Okay, so each VM I think, okay, might be having a two virtual CPUs. Okay, so maximum we can create a two VMs in a single region, okay, which has a two virtual CPUs. Okay, so for now, let me go ahead and change the region here. Okay, let me show you the error also for now. Okay, let's review and create it again. I'll show you the error, then okay, we'll go back and change it. Okay, so here you go to the error, click on it, and here you will be able to see the error summary. And can you see, operation could not be completed as results exceeding approved total regional course quota. Okay, so if you see here, the current central US current limit is 4. Okay, current usage is 3. We are already using a 3 cores. Okay, how to change, check the course and the usage, okay, I have already shown you. If you navigate to the subscription, and under a subscription, just get into the subscription, and within the subscription if you come down, okay, here I could, under settings, okay, I might have already shown you, okay, usage and quota. Okay, within this quota, okay, let's see, okay, it is still loading. Okay, you will be able to see that quota limit here. And if at all, if you wanted to increase, okay, so you have to increase it here by requesting Microsoft. And for the free trial account, okay, I think they will charge extra, so don't try to do that. So instead that, okay, delete the existing ones and practice creating a new one. And if you see here, for the central US, okay, so this particular total regional virtual CPU cores, okay, so you will be having a limit is 4 and you are already using 3. Okay, so that is the reason, okay, it is not allowing us to create another VM. So for that reason, okay, let me go ahead and change the region here. And the region here, I'll go with the Southeast Asia. Let's say okay, I'll go with the Southeast Asia. Okay, let me click on create. I think, okay, within the Southeast Asia I do not have any VMs here. Okay, let me go back to the VMs page again. And if I see here, I do not have any VMs within the Southeast Asia, so I think it should work this time. Let's say I have another operation could not completed the result exceeding the total regional course additional deployment resource group manager. I changed the central US, right? Let me come back. I have Southeast Asia. Okay, let me review and create it again. Okay, so maybe probably I have to delete few resources. Okay, since, okay, central India, okay, let me delete this VM first, so that it will allow us some space, okay, for creating additional VMs. Before that, okay, I have to go to the resource group and I have to delete the entire resource group. What happens is, when you delete the VM, only VM will be deleted, and the remaining properties, whatever we have, like a VNet, public IP, NHG, okay, these okay, it will be not deleted. Can you see? When I deleted the VM, okay, only the VM is deleted and the rest other properties are still present. So better you delete the entire resource group. Okay, for now let me go ahead and delete the resource group itself. And I think it will work now. So let me do a refresh. Okay, so I'll go back and choose it again, and I would say Visual Studio. Okay, here you could see the Visual Studio. Okay, so let me select the template and let me create a new resource group again. So Visual Studio RG01. This is the naming I'm giving. The resource group with the same name is already exist. So is that created already? Okay, I'll say 02. Okay, let me click on OK. And the region I'll go with the Southeast Asia. And let me give some username. Okay, and I'll say VSTS and let me click on create. Let's say this time validation should be working. So make sure that okay, whenever this particular validation is not working, so try to go ahead and look at the error. First read the error. So don't stuck there itself. Like I see most of the people, okay, they try to do something, and if they are getting an error, okay, they don't try to do troubleshooting. Okay, they simply say that okay, I got stuck it here, and they will directly come back to me. Okay, so try to do some R&D from your side. Okay, that is how okay you will improve and you will learn. Okay, so let me go ahead and create it for now. And see, okay, when after this creating this particular VM, if I go ahead and connect, okay, so I should be having a Visual Studio installed by default under this VM. Okay, so here, okay, so I have this particular VM, okay, which is Bastion enabled, right? Let me go ahead and test this particular VM for now. I'll come back to this topic again. So it is in progress. So if you see here, we have enabled the Bastion. So if you wanted to see connect to the Bastion, let me click on connect and click on Bastion. So when I use the Bastion, I don't need to have any certain RDP or any PowerShell to connect to this particular machine. So if I see use Bastion, okay, here I could simply give my username and password. Let's say I'll give my username I have given as a Azure user, and let me give some password here, whatever the password I have given, and let me click on connect. And this particular RDP session will be connected within a browser here. Okay, here you could see. Okay, so earlier, okay, since it is a Windows mission, if at all if I wanted to connect to this Windows mission, what I'm doing, okay, I'm taking an RDP connection. Okay, so here, okay, I'm passing the public IP and can connect all those stuff. Okay, so separate RDP connection will be taken, right? So by enabling this particular Bastion, so here you could see now I'm able to perform everything, okay, within the browser itself. Can you see now? Okay, let me minimize this one, and you can see. So everything I'm able to operate, okay, within a browser itself. Okay, that is advantage of the Azure Bastion. Okay, so please try to remember some of the features, okay, which are required installed. Okay, let me try to do refresh. And once this particular custom deployment is done, okay, using the same VM, what I will do is I'll try to install this particular set of files, and I will take a image out of it. How I will show you how to take an image out of it, and we'll try to create another VM. And by default, okay, these applications should be coming default. Okay, to give you some more insights, okay, whenever you go ahead and join any company, right? So whenever they give you any laptop, so within this particular laptop, okay, there are certain applications which are pre-installed. Maybe the company related websites, or maybe certain applications are might be pre-installed. Okay, because that operating system was created, okay, by using an image, whereas okay, so already installed. So here, okay, I'm passing the public IP and can connect all those stuff. Okay, so separate RDP connection will be taken, right? So by enabling this particular bastion, so here you could see now I'm able to perform everything, okay, within the browser itself. Can you see now? Okay, let me minimize this one, and you can see, so everything I'm able to operate, okay, within a browser itself. Okay, that is advantage of the Azure Bastion. Okay, so please try to remember some of the features. Everything I'm able to operate, okay, within a browser itself. Okay, that is advantage of the Azure Bastion. Okay, so please try to remember some of the features, okay, which are required, okay, to enable the Bastion. So for this, okay, we need to have a separate subnet called Azure Bastion subnet, and minimum side range is /27. The advantage is, okay, we can take the RDP or SSH connection, okay, within a browser itself. Okay, so maybe you can try enabling the bastions for the VM for today. And let's come back to this particular deployment here. Let me go to this resource group, and here, okay, I'm creating a VM. Let me go to the VM, and still it is creating. Once it is done, okay, let's go ahead and connect to this VM, and by default, okay, I should be having this particular Visual Studio is already installed. Okay, let me try to do refresh. And once this particular custom deployment is done, okay, using the same VM, what I will do is I'll try to install this particular set of files, and I will take a image out of it. How I will show you how to take an image out of it, and we'll try to create another VM. And by default, okay, these applications should be coming default. Okay, to give you some more insights, okay, whenever you go ahead and join any company, this particular custom deployment is done. Okay, using the same image out of it, and we'll try to do this particular deployment here. Let me go to this resource group, and here, okay, I'm creating a VM. Let me go to the VM, and still it is creating. Once it is done, okay, let's go ahead and connect to this VM, and by default, okay, I should be having this particular Visual Studio is already installed. Okay, let me try to do refresh. And once this particular custom deployment is done, okay, using the same image, same VM, what I will do is I'll try to install this particular set of files, and I will take a image out of it. How I will show you how to take an image out of it, and we'll try to create another VM. And by default, okay, these applications should be coming default. Okay, to give you some more insights, okay, whenever you go ahead and join any company, right? So whenever they give you any laptop, so within this particular laptop, okay, there are certain applications which are pre-installed. Maybe the company related, websites, or maybe certain, applications are might be pre-installed. Okay, because that operating system was created, okay, by using an image. Whereas, okay, so within that image, okay, whatever the application that you see, okay, they are like, which are default present. Okay, let's come back here, and let's do a refresh. Yeah, so my VM is created, and you can see the status as running. And let me try to take a connect RDP. This is another VM. Okay, so I haven't enabled the Bastion. So first, let me connect to this using RDP. And let's say, okay, so this is the username and password I have given. Okay, so how some tools are some, and can you see? Login now. I should be having a Visual should be the company related, websites, or maybe certain, applications are might be pre-installed. Okay, because that operating system was created, okay, by using an image. Whereas, okay, so within that image, okay, whatever the application that you see, okay, they are like, which are default present. Okay, let's come back here, and let's do a refresh. Yeah, so my VM is created, and you can see the status as running. And let me try to take a connect RDP. This is another VM. Okay, so I haven't enabled the Bastion. So first, let me connect to this using RDP. And let's say, okay, so this is the username and password I have given. Okay, so here you could see that this is the name. Okay, let me click on yes. And by default, okay, if I log in now, I should be having a Visual Studio is installed by default on this VM. Let's see that. So it is still loading. Can you see now? Okay, I have a Visual Studio 2017 is already by default installed. Okay, on my VM. Okay, so let me maximize this VM, and can you see? Okay, earlier, okay, when I create a normal VM, okay, so let's say this is the normal VM, right? I don't see any additional tools or softwares installed under this particular VM. But if at all, if I wanted to have some tools or some features to be enabled by default, I can go with this particular custom deployment feature. So even going forward also, okay, we'll be performing this particular custom deployment, okay, just to have a additional features by default enabled, so that you will be able to make your life very easy. Instead of creating a VM, and after creating a VM, okay, downloading this particular Visual Studio 2017 and installing it, so we can directly go with this custom deployment. Okay, so as to just come back here, just to achieve our target here for capturing an image. Okay, I have a Visual Studio is already ready, and I wanted to install this rest other things. So let me quickly go ahead and install this particular stuff. Okay, so what I will do is, okay, I'll go to the VM, and if at all, if I wanted to use my Internet Explorer here, okay, so it will by default, it will not allow me to use the Internet Explorer. Let's say, for example, if I say google.com here, okay, because okay, for this server, okay, the security is enabled, okay, is as a default. I think it is still loading. Just a second. Let's say, okay, if I say Google, okay, so I will be giving some warning. Okay, I think it is working. Otherwise, okay, what I need to do is, okay, so I need to disable this particular under local servers. I have to disable this particular. It is by default turned off. That is fine. That's the reason. Okay, it is allowing us to use the internet. Otherwise, okay, you have to disable this particular security configuration. Okay, enhancer security configuration, you could say, right? Internet Explorer enhancer security configuration, you need to turn it off. And by default, okay, here if you see, it is both are turned off. So otherwise you have to turn off. Okay, that option is present on the local server under server manager. Let me minimize this. So here my requirement is now, so to install this particular two additional softwares, that is Git and Google browser. Let's come back here. First to download the Chrome first. Okay, so I'll say download Google Chrome. Okay, I perform the online installation. Okay, let's go with the Google Chrome, and I click on download, and I'll say run. Okay, so by default, okay, this Chrome is not present under this particular server, right? I'm installing this particular Chrome also. This I wanted as part of my requirements. And same way, okay, let me quickly download and install this particular Git also. Let's say I'll go to the Google again, and I would say, okay, so here, okay, I would say Git install or Git download. Okay, I'll go here, and I'll download the Git also. Okay, so I'll directly click on run. So whatever the softwares that I needed, okay, so by default, okay, under this particular image, okay, I will be installing all those softwares. And going forward, if at all, if I wanted to create any VM, okay, I will be creating those VMs, okay, using this particular software, I mean image, and these softwares are coming by default. Okay, so I'm going with the defaults here all. Okay, let me go to the next. Yeah, so it is performing the installation. And if I come back here, if you see here, I'm done with the installing my uh, Chrome also. Okay, let me pin this particular thing into the tab only. Okay, I'll pin to the taskbar, and I'll close this window. And if I go back to the desktop, and here I could see some I can see what are all installed under this particular uh, server. Okay, so Git is in progress. I'm done with the installation of Git, and I'm done with the Google web browser. And let me quickly install Putty also. Let's say I'll go back here, and I'll open the browser. This time I'll open the internet Google browser, and here I say download putty. Okay, we have seen, okay, downloading the putty, right, for taking SSH connection for the what do you say, Linux machines. Okay, here I could see package files, MSI files are alternative binaries. So based on your operating system, okay, you have to choose these packages. So let's say I'll go up. Okay, so this is for the puttigen. Okay, I don't need a puttigen. I wanted to have putty. Okay, here it is. Okay, here I could see the putty, and mine is a 64-bit operating system. And I'll go ahead and download this particular thing now. And here I could see I have downloaded a putty also. Let me show it in the folder. And here you could see my Git is also installed successfully. Okay, so let me click on finish. Okay, so if you see here, okay, so here is my putty. Okay, let me extract this particular thing here. Okay, extract all. Okay, I'm extracting here itself. Okay, so it has done with the extraction. Okay, so if at all if I wanted to use this, okay, so I can go ahead and open this particular putty. Okay, I'm just running this, and I'm able to open this particular putty now. So let me pin this particular putty to this particular taskbar also. Okay, now if you see here, okay, let me minimize this rest of the thing. Okay, by default, if I go to the start button, so these are all the software, okay, which are already installed by default. Even for your personal computer also, whenever you buy computer, okay, so whatever the packages that you wanted, like VLC Media Player, or maybe Google Chrome, or maybe if you're planning to play any games, okay, those things, okay, will install later, right? So by default, okay, likewise, okay, if you wanted to do it for the multiple VMs, so instead of you doing every VM, what we do is, okay, we follow this particular concept. So here if you see, okay, if I say git, okay, by default, okay, I will be able to see the git here. Okay, so can you see I'm able to see the git related package. Same way, okay, if I say putty, okay, I will be able to see the related putty things. Okay, I think, okay, it is not installed, but it is just downloaded, and let's say no, it is not installed. Okay, let me install the package. Let me come back here, and if at all if you wanted to see the extensions, okay, go to the view, and just say the file name and extension, and it will show you the extension files. Okay, so for, let's say I wanted to have putty. This is one of the application, and whenever I run it, okay, so okay, let me click and run. Okay, it is by default, okay, opening this particular page. That is fine. Alright then. Okay, so let's see. Okay, so we have installed some of the packages like Visual Studio, Git, and Chrome, and putty. So now let's see how we can take an image, and if at all by after me taking an image, how if at all if I create any multiple VMs, okay, by default these applications are coming default. Let's say how to do it. Okay, before that, okay, let me walk you through the document option also. Okay, just simply type, okay, Azure capture image. I say Windows. Okay, because okay, we are using the Windows VM. Okay, here you could see, okay, you will be navigated to the Microsoft documentation page. Okay, if you don't know what is the exact key that you need to enter, okay, just type, okay, whatever there in your mind. Okay, you will be navigated to the specific documentation page. And if you see here, okay, so this is the process we need to follow now. Okay, if you see here, I'm under Microsoft virtual machine documentation only, but you should know how way to exactly navigate. Okay, here, okay, under images, okay, I navigated to this particular capture managed image. And if you see here, okay, we have certain prerequisites here. Okay, uh, if I come down before I perform a capturing an image, okay, I have to perform a generalize. Okay, so what exactly the mean by generalize? Okay, when you do a generalize, okay, it will remove all the security information, okay, within your VM. That means whatever the username and password you have at this moment to log into the VM, that will be removed. And in addition to that, okay, if you applied any security patches or security some additional things related to your organization, okay, those will be removed. Okay, so what happens is Syspress removes all your personal account and security information, and then prepares the machine to be used as an image. And for more information how to perform this script, and I can go to this URL page. I'm not going to do this now. So first, okay, let's see how we can perform this particular script at this moment. So sign into the VM. Okay, we are already done. And open a command prompt and Windows Administrator, and we need to navigate to this particular path. So where I have my sysprep. Let's say I'll simply copy this particular path. Okay, so let me go walk you through the document so that you should be get familiar. Okay, if at all if you don't know something, how to do it by looking at the documentation itself. I'll go to the VM and I'll open a let's say I'll say okay, I go to this particular path. Okay, I just entered Windows and R, and you will be getting this particular path, and I'm just entering it and click on OK, and you will be navigated to the specific path. And this path is present under a window, Windows System 32 and sysprep. Under this particular sysprep, I need to run this particular sysprep.exe application. Okay, so let's say come back here, and when you could see, okay, I need to run this particular sysprep.exe. When I double click it, okay, this is the window it will be open, and I need to click on this particular generalize. Okay, so let's come back here. Let me double click this particular window, and here you could see, okay, I need to choose this particular generalize. And after that, okay, so we need to set down the VM. When you generalize the VM, after generalizing the VM, there is no use you to log in and uh, allow you to log in also, because it is removing all the user account information and additional security information. Okay, and there is no use also, okay, log into the VM. So for that reason, okay, what I'm doing is I'm just setting down. Okay, so let me go click on OK, and this particular process might take some time. Okay, so what it does is it will remove all the security information, and once it is done, okay, it will set down your VM, and this particular RDP connection will be closed. Okay, and you can see the sysprep is currently working, processing the general base sysprep plugins. So in the meantime, let me come back to the portal. Okay, so once it is done, okay, so here you could see, okay, what are the things, okay, for creating an image. Okay, so what you need to do is, okay, you need to go to the VM and upper main, okay, click on a capture. So this is the option, okay, we were talking, right? Okay, if you go to the overview page and upper menu, okay, we need to enter and click on this particular capture page. And once you click on a capture, okay, so you need to enter some of the details, okay, where you wanted to create this, can you see, by default, okay, my RDP connection is closed because I have because I made it as a set down once the sysprep is done. And you can see, this activity you can achieve it, okay, using PowerShell also. Okay, so first, okay, we are creating any variables, then after we're performing all the additional stuff. Maybe you can try with the uh, this particular using PowerShell also. Fine, so let's go back to the my portal. Yeah, so I think this is the VM, okay, which I have done the generalization. Okay, let me close this window. I'm closing this bastion also. Yeah, so this is a VM, okay, I'm perform the generalization. Okay, so let me do refresh, and I think this VM should be under deallocated or something. Okay, let's see, can you see, it is under stopped, because there I have chosen option. Once the generalization is done, my VM should be shut down. Okay, this VM is already stopped now. So if at all if I wanted to perform capturing an image, okay, I need to click on capture. And here you could see, when I click on capture, okay, so if at all if you wanted to navigate to the documentation also, if I click on learn more, it will be navigated to the same document, okay, where I have opened. Okay, so here, okay, we need to we can store it in a shared image gallery. Okay, so we'll come back here. Okay, how we can store these images. Okay, so let me come back. So by default, okay, I'm going with the same resource group. And if you see here, okay, so share image to the shared image gallery. If at all if you wanted to create a shared image gallery, you can say yes, and you can store it. And if at all if you say no, this image will be stored under this particular specific resource group. Let's say for now, let's go ahead and create a shared image gallery also, and automatically delete this virtual machine after creating an image. Yes, I wanted to delete this VM. See, okay, after creating an image, there is no use of keeping the VM. because okay, you can't even log into the VM because okay, all the user information and the security information will be removed okay when you perform the generalize. And if you see here, okay, target image gallery. At this moment, I do not have any gallery, so let me go ahead and create an image gallery here, and I would say uh, this is like demo said image gallery. I think okay, these icons will not work here. I say demo gallery, and let me click on OK. Okay, so at this moment, okay, my VM is already generalized. Okay, so that's why I'm going with the default option as a generalized and target image definition. So we have to give some definition for our VM. Like say, let's say, this is like Windows machine, right? I would say okay, Win. Okay, Visual Studio is already installed. That's why I say Windows Visual Studio, and currently I have a Windows Visual Studio 2017, right? Okay, and in addition to that, okay, I also have a Git. I also have a maybe it will not understand the name. Let's go with the default. Okay, I'll say version 4.1. Okay, I'm just naming it as a version 01. Okay, probably if not okay, so they will be specifying the particular date, like after this particular 2017. Okay, they will specify like a 2021 and a May month, and today date is 20, right? So likewise, okay, they will mention. Okay, so by looking at this, okay, you will come to know this particular image was captured under this particular 2021 year, May and 28th date. Let me click on OK. And here you could see, yeah, I can specify the version here itself. Okay, I would say 0.1. Okay, I don't need a version here. Okay, 001 I need to give. Fine. And if you wanted to have any end life date, okay, you can give. Okay, for now I don't wanted any end life date. And the default replications, like any, if at all, if you wanted to replicate this image to the multiple regions, okay, within availability zones, okay, I can do it. For now, I'll go with the default. Let me go to the tags and let me review and create. And this, what it is going to do is, okay, let me click on create. It is going to create a separate image and it will be, stored under a shared image gallery. Okay, let me navigate to this particular resource group. So if we go back to the resource groups, and here I have a resource group called Visual Studio 02. Maybe this is try to delete all most of these services here, keeping one or two VMs. So better you delete most of the things here because you see I see many things here. And if you see here, okay, this particular VM will be deleted now, and you will be able to see a image which is created. Okay, let's see. Okay, it is stopping the virtual machine now. Okay, which is already stopped. I think okay, taking capturing this image okay might take some time. Can you see? Successfully stop the image and successfully generate the virtual machine and deploying in progress. Okay, let me go to the this particular thing again. And let me do refresh. So I think okay, it might take some time. Okay, maybe for testing this particular image, okay, we might we'll test it tomorrow. Okay, once we have the VM ready, so we can create a multiple VMs. Okay, by using that image, and whenever you create a VMs by using that image, what will happen is okay by default whatever the applications we have while capturing that particular image, like a Visual Studio, Git, Chrome, those are all coming as a default. Okay, so with this okay we can achieve our use case like whereas okay if at all if you wanted to create 100 VMs, okay, having these applications pre-installed, okay, so that activity I can achieve is using this particular capturing an image. Okay, so within your interviews also okay they might ask you this thing in this way also. Let's say I wanted to create 100 VMs, and within this 100 VMs okay I wanted to install certain set of applications. How do you perform it? Okay, the simple way is okay we can go with the capturing an image. First we can create a VM, a single VM, and within the VM okay we can install whatever the application that you wanted on these 100 VMs, and we can just capture the image, and using that image okay we can create a remaining 100 VMs. Okay, I think it is still in progress. I'm sure definitely it will take some time. And if you see here, it has created a shared image gallery. and within a shared image gallery it is also created image, and this particular VM will be deleted once everything is done. Okay, so and you can see that here is the image, okay, which is created. We have given image definition, right? Okay, Windows VS 2017. Okay, so if at all if you wanted to create any VMs, okay, by using this image we can create. How to do it? Okay, let me quickly show you. I can simply go back to the VM, and from here, okay, since it is in progress, okay, these options are disabled at this moment. And if at all if you wanted to create any VMs, I can just click on a create a VM directly from here. Let's see here, it is still creating. So from here I can go ahead and create a VM. So probably you can just try it from your side, create an image and create a VM out of this particular image. And if at all if you wanted to see the saved image gallery, and just go to the saved image gallery, and from here you can see the images list. This is one of the image. You can go to the image and you can create a VM from here, and you can see the version whatever I have created. At this moment it is still creating, and once it is done you can go ahead and do it. So for now maybe you just perform these two things. Okay, enabling the Bastion. Okay, I will be sharing you the domain. Please post your queries if at all if you have any questions while performing these actions, and capturing an image and do the custom deployment. Practice these three things and we'll see the rest other from tomorrow. So for now I'm stopping my sessions. If you have any questions we can quickly discuss. And Arjun, coming to your yesterday's question, so for monitoring the multiple VMs, okay, so I will be covering tomorrow. Okay, we have a separate concept called Logaltic Workspace. So wherein we'll be adding the VMs into the Logaltic Workspace and we'll be monitoring them, even if it is 500 VMs or 1000 VMs.
Okay, Ramakrishna.
Yeah. So any other question? Maybe Vashi, you were coming to your question also. Maybe okay, we'll see that okay within a Logaltic Workspace. Yeah, Ravi, you want to speak something?
Yeah, actually, while creating multiple VMs, so region-wise, how it will capture? Initially, we are facing some kind of limitation for region-wise VMs, but while capturing those virtual machines, so how it will capture? I just wanted to know.
See, within organizations, okay, if you are using any specific subscription, okay, you are going to create all the resources in a in a single region, because that project and that particular our subscription is belongs to in a single region. You are not allowed to create the resources into multiple regions. Okay, so here since it is a free trial account and since it is not allow us to perform in a single region each and everything, so we are choosing a multiple regions, but by default okay we are going to create in a single region. And since it is a free trial account, okay, you might be having a certain certain limitations here, but whereas within organization, since it is a paid service, okay, you will be having a more features.
Acha. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
And Ramakrishna, I have a
Yes,
query.
yes, please go ahead.
So for image, you have created a custom image by installing the applications manually.
Correct.
So let's just say my organization has a separate customized operating system.
Okay.
They have a customized operating system outside the Azure actually. So
Okay.
they have separated. So they want to install this customized operating system into Azure.
Okay.
Can they do that?
Yeah, they can do it because you know okay, we have a separate concept called managed disk and unmanaged disk, okay, which I thought of cover it maybe upcoming sessions. So if you see here, while we creating this particular VMs, like so what we can do is, okay, so I thought of to show you that, okay, after we discussing storage account, let's say we can whatever the disk that you have, right, we can keep that disk into the storage account here somewhere. And if you see here, while we creating a VM, let's say I'll go to the any one of the VM here and I'll create a VM here. Let's see. Okay, so here, okay, so within a image, okay, this is the image, right? Okay, from here, okay, we are choosing whatever the operating system that you wanted. So let's say if I go to the see all images, okay, so let's let it get load. Yeah, if you see here, these are the marketplace images, okay, we have used the till now. Okay, so whatever we done practice, and something you can see my items here. And within this my items, okay, if you have any items here, you can see if you have any items in a saved image gallery, okay, under this saved image gallery we have created one, right? So this is the one, okay, so we can use it, okay, for example, if you wanted. And coming to your scenario, maybe yes, okay, maybe like, so that we can store it in a storage account. And that for that, okay, first we need to have a disk, and that disk should be stored in a storage account, and from that, okay, we can create it. Probably if at all, if you have that custom image, maybe probably we can test it.
Okay, Ramakrishna.
So anything else? Okay, I'll take it as a no. I'll be sharing this document, and please try to practice it. And if at all, if you face any question queries, please post your queries into the WhatsApp group instead of you pinging me personally, because so that others also will get to know what kind of issues you are getting while doing practice, and what will be the solution. All right. So thank you guys. Okay, so